Okay, great. Well, then let's just dive right in, and let's bring Bill on.
Hello, Bill.
You suck.
Bill, you there? Bill?
That's terrible.
Bill?
Don't you know my signal? That was my...
Bill?
We got to work on our hand signals.
I'm not hearing Bill.
I didn't see the hand signals.
Theater of the mind.
Welcome to AT Banter, the podcast where we discuss anything and everything regarding the world of assistive technology. With our hosts, Steve Barkley, Rob Minot, and Ryan Fleury. Now, let's banter.
Hey there, everybody, and welcome to yet another episode of what we like to call around here AT Banter. I am Rob Minot, and today I am once again joined by Ryan Fleury.
Hi there.
And Steve Barkley.
Howdy ho!
And this is our intro.
Classic.
Yes. So how are you guys doing?
Oh, swell.
I hurt.
Do you? Why do you hurt?
We're getting new flooring in our basement, and I had to move washers and dryers and shelving and all the furniture out over the last couple of days. So
Oh, really? You had to get some exercise.
I'm a little achy. Yeah.
Oh, dear.
But it's good. It's almost done.
How long is it going to take?
I think today's the last day. They started yesterday. So then I get to move it all back.
Oh, you're going to
Don't hurt yourself.
No, I'll try not to.
You're going to be a bear again this week.
A bear?
You were a bear last week.
Was I?
Yeah, you're always
Oh, growly.
Yeah. Should see him.
Grr.
What are we doing today?
Well, today we're going to be talking to Bill McCann, the founder and president of Dancing Dots.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Ryan did mention that last week.
Yep. All about Braille music.
Nice. We should really do a music-themed show, I think, at some point. Talk a little bit. I mean, we touched a bit on it on the...
You know who'd be good for that? Tom Decker from over in Victoria. He runs a show that on one of the local stations over there where he talks about world music and just pulls out the music that he loves and stuff.
Well, we should talk to him.
And he also runs a company that does tactile diagrams for teaching blind people how to operate computers and systems and such for, like touchscreen things. And
Tom's one of the guys that we've thanked on the podcast before because him and Albert always share us.
So he's probably listening right now.
Well, probably not right now.
yeah,
His ears are burning right now.
Probably.
In 2 days, he's going to be like, that's me.
That's right.
You're talking about me.
Well, I could probably reach out to them for November because it seems from now until October is a lot of music theme shows anyway.
Oh, is it? Okay, well,
Yeah.
that's excellent.
So we can tie him in.
Well, today we're very happy to welcome to our little show Bill McCann, who is the founder and president of
Dancing Dots.
Dancing Dots.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming on, Bill.
Thank you, guys. It's really nice to be back with you and just to have a more of a chat session than anything else, right?
That's right.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I appreciate you guys moving the time around a couple times for me. This is one of those unpredictable days, so...
Oh, I know those quite well. I'm having one of those myself.
Okay.
Not a problem.
Me too.
Yeah. I guess most of my days are pretty much like that, but today especially...
Well, it is. Oh, it's Tuesday. It's not even Monday. You can't even blame it on Monday. It's Tuesday.
It's Monday somewhere.
That's
or
right.
Maybe
It's
not. I
true.
don't
In
know.
Australia? No, they're ahead of us.
No, I think, oh, well, it was Monday somewhere yesterday.
Yeah, it's Monday somewhere, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Some
Will
planet
be soon.
in the solar system, someone's having a Monday.
Still feels like Monday in my head.
That sounds like a title for a song.
There you go. It's Monday in my head.
Yeah.
But it's Friday in my pants.
Well, okay, I'll leave that one to you.
Oh my!
Come on, there's a country song right there. If I've ever heard one.
It's Monday in my mind and Friday in my pants. Okay, Steve, start writing that.
That was the flip side to the things that I'm feeling.
B-side of
single. I'm feeling single and seeing double. And somebody told me, I don't know, I never heard it, but somebody told me there really is a country record that's called "You're the Reason Our Kids Are Ugly."
Oh my gosh, that's great.
Yeah.
I hope that's true. I hope that's true. We fact check everything here, so we're going to see.
Okay. Check into that one. Get back to me.
Buying the single.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's start right from the very beginning. So, Bill,
when were you born?
I would. Okay, here's the thing. You guys are gonna like this. I am an honorary Canadian because I was born on the 1st of July in 1958.
Nice.
Wow.
So it goes way back.
Wow.
I was Canada Day, 1958.
Very nice.
Yeah, I was supposed to be born on the 4th of July, but I was early, I guess.
So instead of being an American baby, you're a Canadian baby.
Well, honorary, at least.
What a difference a few days makes.
My line was that my parents called me Bill because I was due on the 1st of the month.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, but
that's a Steve joke.
Yeah, I don't know. I'll stick to that.
Excellent.
Yeah, we kind of do everything early here. We our version of the 4th of July is before yours. Our version of Thanksgiving is before yours.
That's true. Yeah. Well, you guys got to get it in before you get frozen again. So,
our Grey Cup is the older football trophy than the NFL's trophy.
Well, that's pretty much true of everything, right? I mean, somebody was telling me about a town in Italy where there are two churches. There's the old church and the new church, and the new church was from 1400 something.
Wow. Yeah, that's like in Edinburgh, the old city and the new city.
Yeah. It's all relative, right?
Yeah. Their new city was being built before North America had been discovered by Europeans.
I don't want to go to that newfangled city. That's right. They've got cobblestone.
I know, those newfangled cobblestones.
Yeah.
So as you can see, we've already digressed.
Yeah.
We didn't waste any time at all to drive us right off the track. Okay, so back to Bill.
Right. Okay. Well,
so we covered you were born.
Yeah. Well, to fast forward a little bit, my kids or somebody told me about this thing where when you have a birthday, let's say you were born on the 23rd of the month, then when you turn 23, that's your magic golden birthday or something. Well, going by that, a magic golden birthday was when I was 1 year old, and I don't remember that. So this year I figured out that when I turned 58 this summer, I was going to take that as my magic golden birthday because I was born in 58 and I am 58. So it was a really fun party, and a couple people were there who also were from 1958, and we had a jam session, and it was just fun.
Nice.
Yeah. So how do you get into music in the first place?
Well, when I was a kid, when I was like 4 or 5 years old, my cousins came to visit from Massachusetts. We're in Pennsylvania, so it's a pretty good ride. So we didn't see them like we'd see them in the summertime. My mom's older sister and her kids. And the kids were older. And my cousin Jack came down, and he was probably 12 or 13, and he brought a trumpet, and he was practicing. And I was completely mesmerized by the sound, and I said, I want to do that. And I was only 5 years old, and I kept saying it for the next 4 years, and then finally on my 9th birthday, my parents managed to get me a trumpet, and the sound of it pulled me in. I wanted to make that sound.
Yeah, that's funny. I have actually a similar story. That's how because I'm a trumpet player too. That's what I went to music school for a few years, planning on being a music teacher, and so my major was trumpet too. And I remember I was sold on the promise. They told me that I could actually play it in the bathtub, which was, I guess, when I was 11, that was a really big selling point.
You can blow bubbles.
I could blow bubbles. I could play it underwater.
Hang on. You can play the tuba in the bathtub.
That is true.
I mean, I'm not sure where I'm trying to make the connection. I'm just not keeping up with the bathtub connection.
Well, technically any brass instrument you could actually play in the bathtub.
Yeah.
But
I've never tried it, but maybe now
you have something to shoot for the next golden birthday.
You know what? Wow, I got to think about that. Well, so you went right for that and used to practice in the bathtub in your house because you like the acoustics?
Only a couple times. The novelty. It was really a novelty thing. Yeah. After the first couple times, I got over it and just started playing normally.
Okay.
Anyway, so sorry we cut you off. So at age 9, you got given your first trumpet.
Yeah. So and then it was it was time to learn to play it, and my mom, rest her soul, she called around to everybody and tried to find me a teacher. And finally got me a teacher who knew Braille music. But she actually didn't play the trumpet. She played the violin. But she taught me Braille music. And she was a music major, so she knew enough about the trumpet, which valves you press to get which notes. But the main thing was she taught me Braille music. And then after about 6 months of lessons with Miss Facenda, she moved. She got married, moved away. And then I never had a teacher after that who knew Braille music, but I did find somebody who actually played the trumpet, which was better. But between the old primer of Braille music that I had a Braille copy of and teachers and transcribers, I kind of learned Braille music as I went along, as I got more advanced in music itself, and I saw more detail in scores. I sort of picked it up, I never really studied it kind of separately. And I guess that's probably true of a lot of guys who read print music. You sort of figure it out when you see something new. Hey, what's that mean? I gradually got into it, and, I loved music and I loved reading music. But the problem was that as I got more into more advanced stuff, I was studying privately with different teachers, and then I went to my local high school, and I was the only blind student there, but I joined the band, and for obvious reasons. And, we would send music to these wonderful people, these volunteers called transcribers, and they would, they would convert it into Braille for me the old-fashioned way. They probably had Perkins Braille writers, and they would, in those days, if you got halfway down the page and made a mistake, if you couldn't rub it out properly, you'd throw out half the page and start again.
Yeah.
Between that and the fact that they were volunteering their time, I couldn't call and say, actually, we're going to play that piece tomorrow, and I really need it now. So I would literally put music into the mailbox, and the postman would take it away. And then I never knew if it was going to come back next week, next month, after the lesson, after the concert, after the competition. Often it would. And meantime, I would go to rehearsals and sit beside the sighted kids who were reading the music. And then when I got the Braille music, I was just playing by ear at that point and imitating what they were doing. And then when I got the Braille music, there were times when I realized that I had memorized perfectly the mistakes of the kid beside me. And then I'd say, well, wait a minute, actually we're supposed to get louder there. And those notes are staccato, and, we're supposed to slow down a little there, whatever it was. And So by the time I got to my senior year in high school, I was playing first chair trumpet and playing some solos and thinking seriously about going to study music more formally in some kind of degree program in college. But the Braille music was always, for me, so important, even though I really do have a very good ear for music. And I play a lot of jazz where, reading it's kind of nice if you can do it, but it's, if you can hear it, you can just play. But when I wanted to play classical music, I always wanted to have the chart, because for me, having the music, well, it's getting all the details that the composer thought was important to give to the player. Right. And when you hear someone else playing, you have a good ear, you can play what he played, but you have to realize that you're one step removed from the actual information, that you're only as good as what he decided to pay attention to.
Well, and that's part of the musical process, though, too, right? Is interpretation, is taking what's on the chart and interpreting it yourself and playing it. So, I mean, you're kind of, when you're just playing by ear and when you're just sort of imitating what the guy next to you is doing, you're sort of removed from that portion of it, I guess, right?
Exactly. It gets, it kind of gets serious pretty fast, because it gets into whole issues of independence, whether you can be a leader or you have to literally follow.
Right.
And I like to say that as blind people, we spend a lot of time following, and it's nice when there's a situation where you can actually take the lead. And that's one of those situations I found was in music, but the only way I could do it was to actually have the information that I needed. Right. So I could say something with conviction. They actually were supposed to accent that note. There's an accent there, or whatever it is. I would know that from listening to a recording of someone else doing it, unless they chose to actually observe it. Or you might hear an accent and play it that way, and someone might say, "Why are you doing that?" Well, I heard that. Well, it's not written here. So having the information is power, and having the information is the first step toward actually being independent and actually taking charge and making a commitment to yourself. There's a lot of talk about inclusion, and if you're the only member of a musical group and you show up for rehearsal and everyone else is very excitedly looking at their new parts for the year, for the season, and you don't have it, you start to feel a little bit left out, right? Like, am I part of this group or not? So that's another issue with giving a kid who reads Braille in history class or math class the music in music class is, the message is, okay, here's your chart. Now it's up to you. You're going to learn it. You're going to, take up your side of the deal, or are you just going to kind of fake it, like other people might?
Yeah, I mean, I would assume that it makes you feel a lot more connected to the music too, when you have it to go over yourself.
Yeah. And the other nice thing about Braille music, for me, a couple things. If you play something seasonal, like, a Christmas song or a patriotic song at certain times of the year, like the 4th of July or whatever, it comes time to play it next year, you can take that Braille music down from the shelf and look at it again, and you can play it. You don't have to run over to someone and say, could you play this for me again? I know I asked you last year, but I can't find that recording you made for me or whatever. The other nice thing about a Braille chart is that if you're in a musical group, like I was in high school and college, and you have a memory lapse, halfway through a performance, you're resting for 12 measures and you're counting and you're thinking, oh no, I can't remember what I'm supposed to do when I come back in. I know there's 12 measures rest here, but what am I doing? So you can grab the Braille chart on your music stand and look at it and refresh your memory, where you cannot possibly do that with somebody's audio recording, especially when I was a kid, because we had cassettes, you'd be like fumbling around with a cassette trying to fast forward and putting it, little earbud in your ear, and, it just wouldn't work.
Right.
So having the Braille chart is great. It's like having a safety net when you're in a performance, and you can't really beat that.
So has Braille music been around for a long time? Like, do you have any idea, like, just how long?
Yeah, well, I'm going to share something that is kind of embarrassing, but mind-blowing. I did not know until I started my business, and not even a couple years into starting my business. And I was in my 30s, early 30s, and it hit me one day. I don't really know. Wait a minute, who invented this Braille music? I mean, I know Louis Braille invented Braille, the system we call Braille, and then I realized it's called Braille music because he invented it, and he invented it because I later learned played the organ extremely well. He won the prize for cello in his school. He actually started one vocational path for blind people. He taught his friends and students how to tune pianos and how to repair them. So Braille himself was quite a musician. In fact, at one point in his career, he was aux a chance to leave teaching at the School for the Blind in Paris and take a job in a cathedral in a place called Meaux, M-E-A-U-X. I'm not a French scholar, but I think it's Meaux. And but he decided that he loved teaching too much to leave. But they don't offer you a position as a cathedral organist if you can't play.
Yes, for sure.
The guy must have been able to play really well. Plus the fact that he was blind and they still wanted to bring him in, he must have been really good. But he also knew at that time that he had contracted tuberculosis, and his health was a question as well. But yeah, Louis Braille invented it, and I'm told what we use today is not so different from the system that he devised.
So how many instruments do you actually play now, Bill?
Now I don't play almost at all. I'm sort of reformed, but
a reformed musician.
Yeah, I'm a reformed musician, right? Yeah, I work 9 to 5, but it's 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. But no, I play trumpet mainly is my thing. I have a flugelhorn, and I've had I still have my D trumpet. Of course, I have the B flat. I have a couple B flat trumpets. I have the D trumpet that has a slide to make it E flat. Rob, you probably know about those. And then I had a piccolo trumpet at one point. Nice. But a few years ago, it was, Christmas was coming and I needed some cash. So I sold my piccolo trumpet to some kid because I barely play anymore. When I started my business in 92, at that time, I was still leading a band and going out and, working a fair amount as a musician, as a performing musician. And I used to practice for an hour or two a day and try to keep up my chops and everything. But as Dancing Dots started to grow, it didn't make sense to run out to play at parties or clubs anymore as time went by. So up in the mid 90s, I started to just fade out of that. I couldn't keep it up. But the fun thing is, and I know, we said we're jumping around, but now we're really jumping around. But this last summer, I, for the third year running, I led a music camp for visually impaired kids out in California. And for the first time this year, we had a couple guys who could really play jazz. So I got to play this year in our performances. I taught the guys a tune that I had written, and we performed it. It went pretty well, and it was really a thrill for me to play again. Although it was a little embarrassing because I not only don't practice for an hour, I didn't practice at all. I just picked it up and started to play. So, but you can get away with that with jazz a little bit more than if you're playing for the bride as she's coming down the aisle.
That's right. They don't mind if you clam the note or something.
Yeah, I meant that actually. That that note that
right.
cracked. That was just me being cool.
Listen, man, I'm improvising.
That's right. I'm making it up here. Come on, this is jazz. But that was really fun. But I do like to write tunes and things. So I play the keyboard, but I rarely play in public. But I mean, I know enough about the piano that I can sit down and, play some standard jazz songs. I never really got much past very simple Bach stuff, in classical piano. But I know enough that I can play a little bit. And the fun thing this summer too was I was inspired to write a song I called the Glorious Dream, the Ballad of the Google Car. And it's a song about this blind guy having a dream about driving his Google car, or riding in his Google car.
Because that sounds like a song about Ryan.
Yeah. And because when I was introducing, I taught the kids in our summer camp, we formed a chorus, and I arranged the song for the chorus. And I would always introduce it by, just giving people the true background, which was when I heard about the self-driving car, I had two reactions. The first was like, that is so great. I mean, driving has always been such an issue, and I can just get up and go. This is going to be so cool. But then my other reaction was complete terror, like you're putting yourself inside this machine that's going to go at very high rates of speed down the road with these other vehicles going at very high rates of speed. And you can't see what's going on. And you're just like, I hope we get there okay. Yeah, that'd be good if we didn't crash into anything. Because, I write software, and if it crashes, you reboot the computer. If their software goes, you crash.
That's right.
Well, technically, if you get in a car with anybody, you stand that same chance. But do you think maybe we're just mistrustful of technology because we've used Windows for so long?
Well, I don't know. It might have something to do with it.
That's right. Or iTunes, please do not consult Apple for your software.
So, long story short, one of the audience members was Wayne Siligo, who's been a long-time revered music teacher at the School for the Blind in California, in Fremont. So Wayne's like, I love that song. Come on, you got to send it to me. I'm going to do that with my chorus. So I was really delighted that he wanted to do it. And we got some laughs. It's meant to be funny, but it also meant to kind of get people thinking, about this whole possibility. And when I wrote it, I kept hearing, in a few years maybe, and now I'm hearing that in Singapore, companies started a driverless taxi service.
Yep.
And now I'm hearing that in Pittsburgh, Uber is experimenting with driverless Uber cars.
Yeah, there's also the city of Las Vegas has just signed a deal with a company that's going to be doing a driverless air taxi.
Wow.
What?
Okay. Wow. Okay, that's a whole other dimension right there.
You'll have these landing pads around the city, and they basically take off and land at one of these landing pads, but you basically walk up to the thing, it'll take a passenger, and I think they said 175 pounds of luggage, and you just punch in where you're going. It flies you there and lands.
We're Steve, in our lifetime, we are going to get a flying car.
You bet your buns.
I'm so relieved at that. I thought I was going to exit without seeing my flying car that I was promised.
Well, I'm still bummed that I'm not getting a chance to go to the moon base,
Yeah, that's true too.
Yeah.
Okay, we've derailed once again.
Yes,
we've derailed. Let me ask you, Bill, because I'm fascinated by the process of reading a Braille chart. I know as a sighted musician, it's much easier when you have a chart in front of you that you can follow and read along. You don't have to rely on actually taking it away and memorizing it bar by bar. But that being said, you must have found that those charts really stuck in your head like far longer.
Yes, I found that, and maybe this is because I had some limited vision till I was 6, but I find that when I have a Braille chart, I can memorize the shape of the dots, and I can read the Braille in my head while I'm playing. And you can't do that with another medium. Maybe you can do that with print music. You can kind of read it off a music stand in your mind, right? But when I do have to memorize the music. I mean, in a pinch, I can read Braille music with my left hand while I'm trying to play the trumpet, but it's not very good for your technique, and it's not very comfortable in general. But so you're memorized the music, but you're memorizing the music, right? You're memorizing all the details, as I said. But I'm also memorizing 3 ways. I'm memorizing the sound, the musical sound. I memorize the muscle memory, the way the position of my fingers, which valves I have down, how the horn feels on my face, like when I do certain passages. Then the third stream of memorization for me was the shape of the Braille dots, so I can see them in my head while I'm playing. And I found that if I memorize the piece with those 3 streams of data, let's say, that if I lost track of one, the other 2 could kick in enough that I could get through it.
Yeah, it's funny. And it's funny how the mind works too. Like I remember grade 10, we played, I don't know, I think it was like Grease's greatest hits. It was a concert, grade 10 concert band chart. And there was a chromatic run in that the brass had to do. And we practiced that for weeks, trying to get that chromatic run down. And probably for 15 years afterwards, I had that chromatic run memorized. It was just locked in to my head, and I could just sit, and I could probably sit and do the fingering right now. Like it's just it's really weird when you sit and you work on a section or a song, for that matter. It can just stick around for years. Do you find that? Do you find that you can still remember songs from years past?
I mean, certain classical pieces like the Hummel Trumpet Concerto, the Haydn Trumpet Concerto, I can remember. I can just move my fingers and play the notes and hear it, and and I can see the Braille. Because like you did with that thing, you just drill it. It's in there somewhere.
Yeah, let's take a few steps back, and if you could just give us the short version of just what exactly Dancing Dots does, and what the suite of software can actually do.
Sure. Well, when I just to get back to my own bio, right? I did go to school for music, and I did continue to have frustrations with. They only got worse with trying to get materials in Braille. So when I got my music degree from a conservatory in Philadelphia in 1980, I spent a year being a full-time musician, and I played in every church and nightclub that would have me. I taught blind and sighted kids trumpet. I even sold some music arrangements to a high school band director in the area. But in the end, I said, I got to do something else. I don't want to be this poor for that long. So I studied programming, and I got a job at Sunoco, which is now got gobbled up into BP, but they were an oil company here. And I worked there for 10 years, but I did business software programming, but all that time I was continuing to lead a band and to study music and teach music and the whole thing part-time. And I kept thinking there must be a way to speed up this transcription process. There must be a way, because I knew that sighted people were using computers to actually print out staff notation. and even play it back in tempo, and you could hear the computer perform it. And I knew I had met David Holliday back in 1979 when I was still in college. And he's a young guy who had written some software for his brilliant blind wife, Karen Navy, who was teaching mathematics at Bucknell University here in Pennsylvania. And he wanted to make some software to translate her math stuff into Braille and text into Braille. He was writing for the Apple IIe. So I said, okay, we have software that can produce Braille text, and we have software that can produce print music. What we need to do is get some software that can produce Braille music. And so it took a while. I worked at the oil company for 10 years, and then the short version of that story is that they wanted to get smaller. They were looking for people to volunteer to terminate employment, and then in return they would give you a pile of money and training. And after a lot of consideration, prayer, and discussion with my wife, because we were expecting our second child then, I decided, it was time to just give it a try. So I left my safe, cushy job where they paid me every 2 weeks, whether I deserved it or not, even though I think most of the time I did, but it didn't matter. I started. I was a graduation project for these two young guys from the University of Penn. I got connected with their small business development center, and these guys were looking for a graduation project, and they actually helped me apply for my first little bit of money from a state program here in Pennsylvania called Ben Franklin Partnership. And to show you how long ago this was, the application was only available in hard copy print, and one of the guys literally typed up what I told him to write. And anyway,
well, that's better than Ben Franklin presenting it himself. I mean, that would really make it.
Yeah, I know. Well, I guess they had to print it because it was from Ben Franklin. It had to be, printing press or something. But anyhow, so we were sitting around one night talking like, okay, what do you want? One of the guys says, well, what do you want to call this little company that you want to start? And I said, I hadn't really thought about a name for it. I just want to make a piece of software that can convert digital information that can print music into Braille digital information. And so I said, I think it's going to have the word dots in it because it's about Braille. And then it has to have another word that refers to music. And so one of the guys jokingly said, okay, why don't we call it disco dots? And we all laughed. And then I said, wait a minute, what about dancing dots? And that's how it started. So as the name implies, from the beginning it was about Braille. And by 1997, the version we finally released in 1997, which we probably should have released sooner if we were more like the Microsoft model where, release it and then clean up all the bugs later. We kept saying, we can't release it yet. We have to have this other feature, not realizing that, hey, nobody else has anything. So let's just release it. So that was our first product. It was actually the first version of Goodfeel ran under DOS. And then my business partner, Albert Milani, who really took my simple prototype and made it into a real piece of software with a user interface and all the things you'd like in a Windows program. We released the Windows version, I think, in 98 or something. But so the first program was a Braille music translator called Goodfeel, and the idea was to take where we kind of interacted with a program called Lime, which is a music editor mainstream program used to get print music done. And it's sort of like a word processor for music, like the Microsoft Word for music, if you can imagine.
Right.
Except you're typing in notes instead of characters and words. So we can take, that information and convert it to the equivalent Braille music. And that was great. And what was nice about that is that there are, even in a country as big as the United States, at that time, there were only maybe 4 or 5 dozen people who could sit down, who are certified Braille music transcribers by the Library of Congress, who could sit down with a Braille or print score and crank out the Braille score. And with our system, somebody who knows print music and who can use a computer can effectively serve as that Braille music transcriber. Once they get the music on the screen looking like the music on the page, they just launch Goodfeel and bang, you have your Braille score. So that was the way in for me, was get to the Braille music. But as we showed that around the country at, conferences like CSUN, where I've met up with you guys and lots of people, and other conferences, we started to hear two things. People wanted to make records with their computer. Can I sing into this? And, no, you can't. So we found out about this program from Cakewalk that was relatively accessible under DOS. And then Windows came out and we had to make some basic scripts. And then I met David Pinto in 98, I think it was, or 99. And he's a brilliant teacher, and he had learned enough about scripting to do some very creative things. So we started selling and supporting his scripts and tutorial for Sonar, which turns your computer into a multi-track recording studio. And you can sing and play on different tracks and mix it all together and make your MP3. The other thing we would hear was, hey, I'm low vision, and this is cool what you did for Braille. And later on, when we integrated the speech cues and the so forth for speech users, but they said, I just need some magnification. So that's when we about 6 years ago now started working on a product that ultimately we call Lime Lighter, that takes that same score that Lime presents in kind of standard size and zooms it up to 10 times zoom level, make it real big, and then integrate a pedal so that you use your foot to scroll the music either manually or kick off an automatic scrolling feature, so you can keep your hands on your cello or your piano or your trumpet or whatever. Right. So all those different things basically come back to the one sentence I got down, which is we're the company that helps you, if you're visually impaired, to read your music, write your music down, or record your music independently. And you can do that in a number of mediums, including Braille, magnified music, and various audio formats.
Right. So it's pretty much a complete solution.
I like to think of it that way. Anything good can always be made better. One of the innovations that we've really been working on is integrating a new de facto standard for score data interchange called Music XML. And a lot of the commercial music notation programs like Sibelius and Finale that are comparable to Lime can actually export score data as Music XML, and now our Lime software can import it without significant loss of data, which is great, because that means that your band director who paid his dues to learn how to use Sibelius does not have to become an expert at Lime. If he can put your flute part into Sibelius and then export to XML, we can pull it into Lime and convert it to your access method of choice, whether that's listening to Lime play it for you, or creating a Braille score, or magnifying, zooming it up real big so you can read it as a low vision person. Well, anyway, we sort of jumped around, but I think I hope you got the idea. I mean, yeah. Basically, what I want to do is give people access. It's all about access to information, and getting back to the more philosophical part of this. But just to be serious for a minute, I mean, again, it's about giving people the information and then putting it on them, to say, okay, you got it now. You decide what you want to do with it.
So then let me ask you this. What do you got planned for the future in terms of the software?
A couple things. I was blessed to be able to acquire this program called Lime. Up until a couple of years ago, it was someone else's. So we would build kind of on top of it. Now we're at a point where we actually own the source code. So we are going to try to integrate Goodfeel more closely with Lime and try to make, we're at a point where we have a foundation where we can have a version of Lime that has everything in it as one single product. The Braille, magnification, the speech, instead of right now we market Lime Lighter for the low vision people and Goodfeel or Lime Aloud for the Braille and speech users. So we do run across some people who want to have magnification and speech. The other thing is to get more to leverage Music XML even more, so that the content is more available to people. If we really need to do some lobbying and some networking with people who publish music, and try to get across to them that, if you created this print score from a digital thing like Finale, if you can make the XML available to us, we can produce an accessible score in seconds. So we need to get that word out there too. And then I have some ideas for some stuff I can't talk about because I haven't done it yet, and I don't want anyone else to do it. But trying to get some money to do that right now. So if anybody has a bunch of money that they don't know what to do with, give them my number.
It will do.
I can help.
No, I'm keeping that number.
Yeah, right.
Free money, come here first.
Yeah, I know. Well, I'll be reasonable. We can do a 90-10 split or something if it's a big enough pile. Hey.
Well, that's true.
Well, we just start a GoFundMe page.
There you go.
Yeah. Well, we could try that.
I think I know a couple trombone players.
That's right. Yeah, those guys. Oh no, I won't. I was tempted. You know what you do when a trombone player knocks on your door, though?
What's that?
You give them money and you take the pizza.
See, in my high school, it was all about. It wasn't the trombone players that were the butt of the jokes. It was the flute players.
Really?
I don't know how our flute section got such a reputation, but all our jokes were absolutely filthy. And
yeah, well, yeah. I mean, this is a family podcast, but I know what you mean. I mean, we're talking about musicians, so that happens. But usually it was either the drummers or the trombone players or the singers. Of course, there's a lot of singer jokes. Some of those we could sell. Do you know when? What is it? How many singers it takes to unscrew a light bulb?
No.
Just one. She hangs onto the bulb and the world revolves around her. Yeah.
I should ask. I mean, we'll of course link to Dancing Dots in the show notes, but if you want to tell everybody where they can find you on the old intranet.
Oh yeah. So www.dancingdots.com. And there's a wonderful company up north of here called Aroga, and you can also look at their site, and they might say something about us too.
Yeah, there's a good chance you might be mentioned.
Yeah, that's right.
It's synergy, folks. It's synergy.
Yeah, it all kind of goes together.
Thanks for coming on the show, Bill.
Well, thanks, Rob, and Ryan and Steve. It was. I didn't realize this was going to be such a more of a chat. I think the only thing missing were some of our favorite beverages, but maybe next time we're in the same room together, we could remedy that. So,
right. You ever get up here, we'll do it in an AT with beer episode for YouTube.
Yeah, something like that, like a beer summit situation.
Yep.
Exactly.
Okay.
Sounds great.
All right, Bill, we'll let you go and get back to your dinner.
All right, guys. Wonderful to talk. Keep up the good work, and we'll see you soon.
All right.
Thanks,
See you,
Bill.
Take care, Bill.
Okay. Bye-bye.
So, hey, I hear we have a website.
We do.
I heard that too.
That's what I heard.
Really?
I think if you go to www.atbanter.com,
you'll find a wealth of information on how to get a hold of us.
Right.
One of those ways is by email.
Really?
So I think if you go into your email and type in
atbanterpodcast@gmail.com.
Woohoo!
And we also got a YouTube channel. We have a Google Plus page and Facebook, of course.
And Twitter.
And Twitter. How can we forget Twitter? What are we doing next week, Ryan?
Next week we have Ben Schrogler from Skoog coming on.
I dare you to say those two words together fast.
Schrogler Skoog, Schrogler Skoog, Schrogler Skoog.
Masterful. I guess he showed you.
That's my talent.
So Skoog, what's the Skoog again?
Skoog is a musical device that is formed into a foam cube and can be tied into your computer via Bluetooth, where you can create sounds and play it like an instrument.
Excellent. Well, we look forward to that then.
Woo! Skoog!
Skoog! It's a really fun word to say. We have to ask him about that, about where they came, how they developed the name Skoog.
I know, but he knows it better.
Really? There should have been something called a Skoog long ago.
It's true.
It might have been.
Think so? Yeah, maybe. Maybe you're right. I guess we'll find out next week.
What do you think happens when we Google Skoog?
Well, you're going to come to the Skoog website, but let's find out.
But you never know. It's like, you look up Aroga and you get all kinds of different things.
That's true.
Ooh, there's a bunch of suggestions. Skoogies, Skoog Principles of Instrumental Analysis, Skoog High Jump, Skoogles, Skoog Analytical Chemistry PDF.
Wait, Skoogles? That's got to be a snack, right? That's got to be
Skoogles.
I want some Skoogles. If it's not a snack, you need to take out all the money, and we're going to develop a snack named Skoogles.
Should I get the domain skoogles.com?
It can be like Skittles, except different.
Except 3 of them out of a bowl might kill you.
No, like gummy Skittles. Like something sour, gummy Skittles, and we'll call them Skoogles.
Skoogles.com.
Yeah.
Why not? Domains are cheap.
Wait, or we could develop glasses.
Is it SK or SC?
Skoogles are swim goggles.
I was going to say that. I was going to say they should be some sort of goggle. But they could also be. So why did they name them Skoogles, though, I wonder?
Because they're swimming goggles.
Speedo Skoogles at swimoutlet.com.
Damn.
I can get Skoogle.com.
Yeah, we might have to look into that. Skoogles.
Well, if it's a trademark, it could be copyright infringement.
Well, we'll find out. That's why we let Ryan do it, and then he can get sued.
That's right.
Bring it on. Napster never caught me.
Okay, yes.
Edit.
Yeah, that'll all get edited. That's fine. All right. Well, then in that case, I've been Rob Minot.
And I've been Ryan Fleury.
And I remain Steve Barkley.
And we will see you next week.
This podcast has been brought to you by Aroga Technologies. Visit Aroga Technologies online at www.aroga.com. That's AROGA.com. Music provided by bensound.com.